Hi and welcome to another Windsor Cake Academy tutorial. Today I'm going to show you how to make cake balls for cake pops, and all we need to do this is have a baked vanilla cake. Mine I've just taken out of the freezer this morning, but it'll work with any kind of cake. And I've got vanilla frosting, but you could use ganache, you can use any sort of frosting that you like. So the first thing we're going to do is take the lid off our food processor. Now if you have any sort of crispy edges, you're going to just want to cut those away. You don't want anything that's going to be too sort of crunchy in there. You want all the nice moist bits. So, as mine's been in the freezer, it's soft all over. I'm not going to cut anything away. So I'm just going to break it into smaller chunks and pop those in the processor. Get a little bit more in there. And there we go. Should be plenty. You don't want to overfill it so much that it struggles to chop all of it. We're done, and then I'm just going to really let it go until I've got a really nice fine crumb. Okay, now you can see we've got a really fine crumb, and that cake is really moist, so it's not going to take a lot of frosting. The more moist your cake is, the less frosting you need. So what I'm going to do first is I'm only going to pop in a really tiny amount and see how we go. So you can see that's starting to come together really well, but not quite enough. So I'm just going to just knock that little piece in, and I'm just going to add a really small amount again. You just don't want to go too far and end up with a sticky mess. Lid back on, give it a go. Again, it is coming together really well, but what we want is for it to form its own ball in the mixer. So really small amount this time. I'm only going to add this much frosting, and that will most probably be enough. Lid back on and give it another quick whiz, and it should all come together. There you go, and all of a sudden it comes together in a ball, and we've got a beautiful cake pop mixture that's the consistency of plasticine, I suppose. But it's really soft. It's really nice and easy to roll, but it's not sort of sticky and slimy. Perfect. Now I've put my gloves on for this portion of the tutorial just because we want to keep it nice and food safe, and don't forget people are going to eat these and they don't really want something that you've just been rolling around in the palm of your hand. So gloves on, I think that's really important. So what I'm going to use is I just have a baking sheet and have this amazing little kitchen craft cake ball maker, and all I do is use it like a pair of scissors into the mix and squeeze. I take off all of the excess, and then out that comes. I just roll that. That just gives me a nice even size. I used to weigh all the cake balls out so I knew they were the same size, so this thing is a massive time saver. So once I've got them rolled into nice balls, I pop them on the baking sheet. Keep going until you have a full baking sheet. And then what we'll do is just pop them in the freezer until they're nice and firm. Then we can bag them up, pop the date on them, and can keep them in the freezer until we need them. Just pull out as many as you need at a time. So we have our cake balls here all rolled and ready to be frozen. We managed to get 23 cake balls from a really shallow 8-inch square cake. So you can use that just as a guide to see how much cake you'll need. If you've got an order of say 50, you're going to need just a little more than 2 8-inch square cakes to do that. So what I'll do is I'll pop these in the freezer for about an hour to an hour and a half till they're really nice and firm, and then I'm just going to grab a Ziploc bag and pop all of the cake balls into that bag, and I'll put the date on there that they were baked and the date that they'll expire for in the freezer. So that'll be a 3-month freezer rule. Now when we want to use them, we can just grab a few out at a time and reseal the bag. That's absolutely fine. But when we take them out, we need to make sure they are thoroughly defrosted before we start working with them. If we work with them when they're too cold, we're going to get lots of cracks in our candy coating. We don't want that. That's just as the balls expand again as they come back to room temperature. So you want to make sure they are thoroughly defrosted, they're not too cold when you're working with them. But once you have coated your cake balls, they should last. A good guide for you to use for how long they will last is roughly a week to 2 weeks. You'll probably get longer if you keep them refrigerated, but I'd say a week out of the fridge, 2 weeks in the fridge as a minimum sort of thing. So that's everything that you need to know about making cake balls. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel.